Well, good morning, everyone. Afternoon. The sun is shining. I can't tell what time it is anymore. It's way too beautiful. My name is Megan Bronson. I am the Executive Director of Hillsdale Main Street, the nonprofit that is bringing you this series today and going forward. Welcome to part one of our marketing series. Today we are very, very lucky to have these two fabulous women who are going to come to talk specifically about branding. Before we get to that part, I have a couple announcements. I first wanted to thank the SEPA, who is the Community Partners for Affordable Housing, for giving us this amazing space at no cost. I wanted to make sure you guys knew who we were. Hillsdale Main Street is a nonprofit who's focused on helping Hillsdale thrive. Our mission is to help make Hillsdale a better place to live, work, play, and shop. And we do that by focusing on the heart of the community, the living room of the house, which we believe is the business district. So through what's called the Main Street approach, we have one paid staff, which is me. We're very lucky to have Emily Wilkin at AmeriCorps Vista as our project coordinator, who actually brought you today this project and brought Kristin, which is amazing. And we have, but most of the work isn't from us. It's all of the volunteers, which we have several in the room, so thank you all, the volunteers that are in the room. And we have over 70 volunteers that work on 5 committees that are all working on a monthly basis to improve the business district. We have a list of over 250 volunteers from around the community who have volunteered for one-time activities. Towards the end, I will ask for your help and see if you want to volunteer for some of our current needs. But I know that you guys are here for this specific topic. So without further ado, the purpose of this series, our Roundtable Talk series, is to help our business owners, specifically Hillsdale business owners. Some of you are not from Hillsdale. We know through lots of best practice research that some of the best ways for our businesses to learn is to network and get the ideas of other business owners. So we have invited today Raleigh Hills Business Association, Multnomah Village Business Association, and South Portland Business Association. So we do have members, I believe, from all, I'm not sure about South Portland, but I know that the other 3 are here today. So I'm going to read, Kristin gave me a fabulous intro. So Kristin Taylor is our speaker this afternoon. She is known professionally as the On-Call Marketing Director. Kristin is a skilled marketing strategist who provides on-call marketing services to growing companies. She often works with companies who value marketing in their business but do not want the expense of hiring a full-time marketing director. She has worked in advertising, marketing, and public relations for over 25 years, including 15 years as the founder and president of a successful advertising agency here in Portland. She has been named the top media planner in the nation by Pepsi-Cola. Kristin has worked with more than 200 consumer and business-to-business financial products and services, including packaged goods, financial institutions, retail chains, food products, and outdoor recreation. She specializes in branding and invented the Brand Voice Workshop, which I believe you're getting a little taste of today. It's normally multiple days. We're getting to help guide companies to internal consensus on their branding process. Today, Kristin's going to share with us the process for branding your business. Please join me today in welcoming today's speaker, Kristin Taylor, the On-Call Marketing Director, and Stephanie Murphy, her compadre.
Thanks so much, and thank you all for taking time from your business to be here. I know that that's not always easy to walk out the door, and or it can be very easy to walk out the door and stay out the door on a day like this. So I really appreciate that you're here with us. So who wants to increase their business? Okay, great. It seems like a pretty universal concept. So today we're going to talk about branding, and that's a key step in building and growing your business. We'll be going through a lot of information really quickly, so hold on to your proverbial hats. I welcome questions. We will have a question opportunity at the end, but if you have something that just can't wait, please feel free to raise your hand. And I do apologize, we're going to be cramming a lot of information into a short period of time, but that can be a good thing. And that's why I've given you the handout so that you can maybe go through some of this again later when you have more time. So as Megan was mentioning, I work with a wide variety of clients, everything from bagels to binoculars. coffee to tourism, industrial spill kits, that's an exciting one, to law firms. So you know, everything, every kind of product, every kind of service industry, pretty much I've had some sort of dealing with. And I have found that the branding process is the same for every one of those types of businesses. The branding process, what you do with your branding ends up being different. The tactics you take may end up being different. But the branding process itself applies to just about any kind of business. And so what I do when I meet with my clients is sit down with them and talk to them about a very simple phrase. And that phrase is, decide what you are and then be that. So I gave you an opportunity to fill in the blanks so that you can remember it, but decide what you are and then be that. And today we're going to talk about decide what you are, which is the branding process. And then the be that part is something that Stephanie's going to address that talks about how to make your brand come to life. So we'll be doing a really short version of a process that I've put together called the Brand Voice Workshop. Usually when I do this, I try to have all the stakeholders for the business in the same room. So, you know, think about your business and think about all the people who really matter in your business. And it can range from the bagel baker to the salesperson to the head of marketing. But I want all those people in the same room because branding affects every single person in your business. And then we try to come to consensus. It's going to be easier for you to come to consensus today because you're on your own. But you really do want the input of your stakeholders in this process because they know aspects of your business probably even better than you do that really will apply to this branding process. So what is a brand? It's kind of become a bit of a trendy word, so let's talk a little bit about what it is. A brand is simply how your target audience regards you. So a business has a brand even if they don't try to have a brand. What you end up with, if you don't try to have a brand, is a default brand. Every product, even if it's not attempted to be branded, you're going to end up with a default brand. So let me give you some examples of those. Some examples of companies with a strong brand, and you can probably come up with some of the same names really quickly because they do such a fantastic job. Nike is a great example, Harley-Davidson, Nordstrom. All of these companies have a very strong brand and they have worked very hard to build it and to make it come alive in all of their marketing and communications efforts. Default brand examples are harder to pick out by name because they're so generic. But think about a competitor you have, and certainly it's not you, but a competitor you have who has maybe no logo or a very poor sign or something that, as we were talking about, clearly their nephew did for them. And that is their brand. That is how their customers are going to regard them. And that is going to affect the bottom line. It can affect your sales because customers don't know how to pick you when it's time to make a buying decision. So the benefits of having a good brand are many. Once you have a brand voice, you build equity. So everything you do in your communications and in your advertising, in your marketing, in your sales efforts, everything builds on each other because the brand voice is the same. You're helping your customers know how to regard you, as we mentioned just a minute ago. You're helping your customers feel comfortable when they walk into your business. One great example is Starbucks. When they first started, they really had a hard challenge on their hands, and I had the opportunity to work with them at this time because people didn't know how to order coffee and didn't really know what Starbucks was. So they really spent a lot of time building their brand and making sure that they had point-of-sale signage that reinforced that brand and had menu boards that were very simple and made it clear what the customer is supposed to do. So if you have a retail location, for example, you really want your customer to walk in and feel comfortable. walk in and know how to regard you. If you have a medical office, the same thing. You want your patient to walk in and feel comfortable and feel like, okay, I know what these people are about. And that can be represented by everything from the type of art that you have on the wall to how they're greeted by the receptionist. So your business then becomes top of mind, as we said, with when it comes time for the customer to make a buying decision. So we're going to start the branding process. If you look on the page that has decide what you are and then be that, what I'd like you to do is write in your company name on the top line, and then write what you do in one sentence. And this isn't some sort of elevator speech exercise. I'm not going to ask you to do that. But what I'd like you to do is very simply write down what your business is. For example, if your business was Joe's Sheds makes garden sheds. Endless Smiles provides dental care. Just to have a base of where you're starting. And also, for some of you who may have multiple businesses, this is where you decide what business you're going to be working on today. So, before we get into brand voice, I'd like to talk about the 5 key tests of a good brand voice. The first is that it's based on the fundamentals of your company. It's based on what you can deliver. It's based on what you value. It's based on the products you have. You'd be surprised how many businesses try to say there's something they're not. Your brand voice needs to be based on the fundamentals of your company. It needs to be related to what your customers value. Something that they actually have a stake in and something that they're actually interested in. It needs to be available and not already taken by a competitor. So if you're building a brand, you don't want your brand to be the same as your biggest competitor. You don't want to be delivering the same message or even visually delivering the same information. You want to make sure that your brand is not taken by a competitor. And I'm sorry, for ecological Earth Day reasons, the sheets are printed on both sides. So if you can't find this list, look on the back page of 1 to 4. You need to be sure that your brand is doable. You don't want to say Joe's Sheds is the largest garden shed manufacturer in the Pacific Northwest if that's not possible. So you want to make sure that it's doable by your company. And you also want to make sure it's differentiating. You don't want a Me Too brand that says, yeah, I'm just the same as everybody else. You want to make sure it's differentiating. So keep these 5 critical tests in mind as we move forward on your brand voice. So the first exercise we're going to do, and can everyone see if they have this sheet that talks about your target audience, because we're going to look into that on a detailed level. I want you to think about the target audience, the ideal customer, or the ideal client for your business. And I want you to be as detailed as possible when you think about this customer. And you can start with demographic things. Those are things like age and gender, location, ethnic background, marital status, income. Get very specific about those things. And remember, your target audience is not everyone. If you say your target audience is everyone, you've already failed Branding 101. And you're also not being true to yourself. Because if you think about it, tap water doesn't even have everyone as their target audience. Your target audience you want to narrow as much as possible. Because that way you're going to be able to have focused communications and a meaningful brand. So refrain from the desire or the inclination that we all have of thinking, well, I think I'm pretty darn good. I think everybody could use my services or use my product. That may be true, but who is your ideal client? Who is your ideal customer? And write that information down. In addition to the demographic information, go for some psychographic information too. What do they value? What are their attitudes? What are their behaviors, their lifestyle, some of their interests, their hobbies? So think about some of those things because those can become incredibly valuable. Little side note, for example, if you find out that many of your customers have a shared hobby, what a great social media tool it is for you when you execute your brand. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to fill this out because it's an important space to be in as you move forward with your brand.
I'd like to talk about, in the competition, the difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2.
You haven't gotten to that yet.
Okay.
We're go back.
Sorry.
We'll get to that next. I'm going to spend some time on target audience now. Yes?
On the previous frame, there were the 5 critical tests. I don't have that handout. I'm wondering if that's paper.
Yeah, I don't think
it's in any of them.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
thanks.
if you could back up and then I could write the other one.
Sure, I apologize for that.
Thank you.
FedEx office, and I did not. Can you back up to the 5? Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
So these are all, how do you decide in some ways who this target audience is?
Well, you want to think about who is willing to pay me, who's willing to refer me, who's willing to come back again. You know, that's your ideal client. Who's willing to pay me, who's willing to refer me, and who's willing to come back again. And that referral piece is really important because word of mouth, I don't care what anyone tells you, word of mouth is the best advertising there is. And that becomes increasingly true, and that's part of why social media has exploded so much. Word of mouth is really, really valuable. So will they pay me, will they refer me, and will they come back again? Think about that and when you're trying to determine your target audience or your ideal client.
So I branched out into this and I use my own population, which varies in income and age and interest, and I mean it's pretty broad. And what I discovered really surprised me. I couldn't narrow them down and say, okay, they have to have this income to pay for this service. I mean, I have hourly workers who were saving their money so they could do it. So I'm not having an easy time figuring out who might respond.
And you know, it could be that income isn't a real important part of who your target audience is. That something that's more important might be what hobbies they have, or what sort of political views they have. You just, it may not be income, and that's possible. That's just one area that you can use. And it's a pretty good area because it tells you a lot about your clients. But if you can't identify an income level, don't worry about that. Find the things that you can identify. Anyone have any other questions before we move on? And I am going to suggest you revisit this later. Does everyone have at least some information down? Okay, great. Now we're going to talk about the competition. We're going to identify your Tier 1 and your Tier 2 competition. Stephanie, you want to?
Yeah, so the difference between Tier 1 and Tier 2, Tier 1 is your direct competition. So let's say you own a grocery store. You are against, Whole Foods, New Seasons, Albertsons, Fred Meyer, Safeway. Your Tier 2 might be an alternate purchase option, whether it's farmer's market or they grow their own. So the Tier 2 is a little off to the side of your direct, obvious competition. But just kind of keep both in mind as we go through this.
So another example might be if you're a dental practice, your direct competition might be other local dental practices by name. And your Tier 2 might be some of the bigger chain dental practices, or Kaiser, for example. But Tier 1 is the most important to get down right now. Those are the ones that really keep you up at night. Those are the ones that you really are concerned that your customer might choose over here. And sometimes our competition is they might not do anything. That's a big competitor for a lot of us. They just might choose not to do anything at all.
So status quo becomes your competition.
Status quo is one of your competitions, yes, competitors. Because for some reason, people have put a value on that. And you probably likely have more than 4 competitors, but for the sake of today, I kept it a little bit short. Okay, does everybody have at least a couple down? Anyone need a little bit more time? Okay, great, let's move on. So, the first piece in your brand voice, and what we're going to end up with at the end of this is a brand voice statement. The first thing we're going to look at are your company's attributes. And keep some of these, those 5 critical tests in mind. You want to make sure that these are attributes in the context of competition, and they're driven by your tangible assets. They're driven by what your company really has to offer, and they're driven by what your company really can do. So some examples of attributes might be high quality, convenient, reliable, clean, local, which is a big one these days, community oriented. Those are all attributes. So think about attributes that you have in your business that can be meaningful in the context of competition, that can be meaningful to your target audience, and are driven by what you can actually do.
So
Yes.
this actually is me, not my service.
This is actually, no, and thank you, that's an excellent question. You are thinking about your business as an entity. This isn't you, this is your business. These are attributes of your business, not of you personally. Even if you're a solopreneur, you're talking about your business. So for me, for example, I am Kristin Taylor Marketing, but my business has a whole persona and a whole branding that's apart from me as a person. I'm part of it, but I'm not everything. So think about your business, and that'll become especially important on the next question. Think about your business almost as if it's a person, its own entity. And it is. It has a life of its own, as we all know. Does anyone want to share a couple attributes that they have for their business that maybe are a little different or a little surprising? Okay. Yeah.
I'll share one. I do websites, and all my websites are hand-coded.
Okay.
There's no Drupal, there's no WordPress, there's no, you're not locked into anything. So we maintain maximum flexibility.
Excellent. So hand-coded, handmade, that is an important attribute for a website developer. That's excellent. Yes?
And I took this to what I'm trying to brand, which is a facial rejuvenation. And so it's pain-free, surgery-free.
Okay, so pain-free and surgery-free for a facial regeneration. 2 excellent attributes and 2 things that sound pretty darn good to me. Yeah.
I always like to use the term knowledgeable for our products versus other competitors that might have some products, but for salespeople may not use that.
Right. That's a very good example of one. Knowledgeable.
And that's something you can own in the face of competition.
Okay, does everybody have a few attributes down? The next one's kind of fun. Now think about your business as if it's a person. That'll be applied for our next two exercises. Think about your business as if it's a person. So these are intangible things. These are personality characteristics that we're going to be writing down. So things like brave, smart, friendly, generous, outgoing, introverted, any of those things. Think about personality characteristics. So again, you're thinking about your business as if it's a person. How would someone describe you? And this would be, positive things. One way to come up with some of these is also to think about your competition and how you might describe them and then apply it. How am I different from my competition? It's one way to come up with ideas. Does anyone have some personality characteristics they'd like to share? Some other ones that we may not have talked about, his sense of humor. Yes?
I work at the Hillsdale Veterinary Hospital just up the street here, and I would say compassionate would be one that we could list as.
That's great. That's a great example of something that your ideal client, your ideal customer is going to value because they're making a decision about their pet. So that's a great example. Anyone else?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I own a copywriting firm, and my brand would be composed, thoughtful, conscientious, and strong.
Very good. Composed, skillful, conscientious, and strong. Those are great descriptions for a service business of copywriting. Those are important things when you're choosing a good copywriter. You want to know those things. Anyone else? Yes.
I provide career counseling for people who want to choose, change, or advance their career. So I put well-connected, gently directive, and supportive.
Okay, great. So career counseling, well-connected, gently supported. Is it?
Gently directive.
Gently directive.
Great
Okay.
word.
And what was your third one?
Supportive.
Supportive. Okay, great. And that's, again, those are all great examples of something that are intangibles about your company that are really like human personality characteristics. Okay, let's move on. This next one kind of is just a fun bonus question, but think about a celebrity. If you could pick a celebrity personality, a celebrity to represent your business, who would you pick? What celebrity personifies your business?
I had a great example. I was working with a client who's an interior designer, and I asked her who her celebrity would be, and she said it was Angelina Jolie with a tool belt. But that's exactly who this person is. Like, okay, I totally get it now. It's like, this makes sense. So that, just a thought.
This would be the ideal Or this would be if we were gonna pay someone to endorse it, this too, we would want to.
Both. Really what you're doing is you're taking that personality list and thinking, what celebrity personifies those personality characteristics? And who would that person be? Who would really represent me well? And this time we don't have to pay them, so you can pick anyone. Does anyone want to share their celebrity? I love hearing these. Yes, Susan.
I think Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep. Good. Yeah.
Did anyone pick Jimmy Stewart?
Someone
Yeah, but I
always
was
says
thinking about
Jimmy
John.
Stewart.
There's certain ones that no matter what kind of client we're working with, Jimmy Stewart and Harrison Ford come up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But Liam Neeson.
There you go.
I can't
Close.
even tell you why.
That's good.
Anyone else?
Oh, I don't know very many celebrities, frankly, but Oprah is the one that came to
Oh,
Oprah.
mind.
there you go.
Oprah. It's good to have her on your side.
Is it fair to pick a superhero?
Sure, that's a
Pick
celebrity.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I have
And
a
that-
comic book store, so.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, well, that's perfect for a comic book store. Excellent. Okay, good. So we are all kind of in our attributes and personality stage of building our brand. The next thing we have to do is score these things. And this is the dicey, somewhat difficult part. What I'd like you to do is choose 3 attributes that really jump out at you from your list, or the 3 you wrote down. But choose 3 attributes that really jump out as being unique to your business and write them here. And then do the same with personality traits. And if you have to pull apart your handout, you know I won't be offended. And if you then take your personality traits, do the same thing, write the 3 that really jump out to you. And we're going to do a little scoring on this. And if you have 10 and you're having trouble choosing, just pick the 3. I mean, you know in your gut, intuition is something we all need to learn to trust a little more, in my opinion. You know which ones really suit you. The ones that you really aspire to improve upon. Okay. Next, I want you to take, and probably for most of you will be your Tier 1 competitors, and write them in these 3 squares on your handout. Competitor 1, competitor 2, and competitor 3. So if it were food front, they might put New Seasons, Whole Foods, Farmers Market. Whoever you chose is your competitors that really keep you up. Put those across the top.
Those all have to be tier 1.
They don't have to be Tier 1. They can be Tier 1 or Tier 2. If we were doing a full brand voice workshop, we'd list out all the attributes and all the personality traits and all the competitors, because they're all important. But for today, we're just going to look at the top 3 that really jump out. Okay, so now what I want you to do, and you should have a scoring description on your sheet. What I want you to do is to go across, and let's say one of my attributes was friendly, and one of my competitors was Kendra Wilkinson Communications. Am I less than the competition in friendly, so am I less friendly than my competitor? Give myself 0 points. Am I equal to the competitor? Give myself 1. Am yourself too. And this is where you really need to be honest. You need to think about what everyone in your company who is representing your brand would say. And it's very, very tempting to put twos all the way across and just say I'm done. But just be as honest as you can. Am I less friendly than the competitor? And use your first attribute. Am I less X than the competitor? Am I equal or am I better? And if you have any questions, please let me know. It's very hard to be subjective. So this is, again, a good time to step outside your business owner hat. Think about being an ideal client. Think about regarding your business from the outside. And what would customers think? You know, if they're looking at you versus competitor one, what would they think about that attribute? And if you score yourself less, it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean you can't improve on that. What it does mean is that we're probably not going to use that attribute in our branding, and you'll see how that plays out in the next step. And as you do that, once you've filled out 1, 2, 3, give yourself a score, add up your points, and give yourself a score in the final column. And this is a great example of a step that you may want to spend a little more time on a little bit later. But I think if you can get yourself to, give yourself some quick scores, then I'll show you what we're going to do next. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do with them. So what I'd like you to do, based on your scores, is choose your top 2 attributes. So you're going to choose your top 2 attributes. Which one's got the highest scores on your list? Your top 2 personality traits. Which one's got the highest scores? And write them into these blanks. Don't worry if you only ended up with 1, or if you're, you'll see how this works. Okay, now that you have your top 2 attributes and your top 2 personality traits, there is a brand voice statement waiting to be filled out on your handout. What I'd like you to do is write in your company name, and then put your attribute number 1, your attribute number 2, again, your company name, personality trait number 1, personality trait number 2. So just transfer that information that you did onto this brand voice statement. And when you're done, if you would be willing to share it with the group, I'd really like to hear a couple of them. Anyone have one that you can share with us? Tell us a little bit about your business.
I will.
Yes.
Okay. So again, Hillsdale Veterinary Hospital, I have that, Hillsdale Veterinary Hospital is particularly quality and knowledge, and Hillsdale Veterinary Hospital is compassionate and caring.
Okay. So Hillsdale Veterinary Hospital is particularly full of quality, or you may have to, work with your grammar a little bit.
Quality medicine,
Yeah.
practices quality medicine.
Right, right. And then, the other attributes, that was great. Anyone else? Yes.
Centerpoint Physical Therapy is particularly personalized and skilled, and Centerpoint Physical Therapy is accommodating and empathetic.
Excellent. I know a lot about your business based on what you just said. I know a lot about your business, and I can visualize how you might brand yourself with that statement. Anyone else? Now what? Okay, you've got a brand voice statement, now what? Well, the first thing I want you to do is to take this to your office, write it out nicely, or put it on a Word document and put it up somewhere. Post it somewhere where you can look at it. And if you want to massage it a little bit, that's great. But put it somewhere where you can see it, because as Wayne Dyer says, what you think about expands. What you have identified as your attributes and your personality traits, you can start focusing on these, and that's going to affect immediately how you're communicating with your clients and your customers, and probably how you're going to look at your next piece of communications, whether it's an email or a social media post or a logo. And then I suggest you revisit this on a regular basis, and if possible, try and run through the process with some other people who are in your business. And Stephanie's going to show us some examples of how this can actually play out from a creative level.
So, a lot of what we talk about is decide what you are and then be that. And this should be the be that portion of the program, because, it's easy to sit through a branding exercise and think, oh, I get this now, but now what? You need tools, you need to know how to communicate, your staff needs to know how to communicate. Everyone needs to be on the same page. The first step is educating your staff. If everyone in your organization, even if it's just you and the mouse in your pocket, everyone needs to be singing the same song. And educating your employees not only helps you get that consistent brand voice out, they also become your brand ambassadors. So they're out in the community in their normal lives. They know exactly how to regard the vet clinic, or they know exactly how to regard your spa. Starting with them and really helping them understand what exactly we're trying to convey is key. And that's why, as Kristin was saying, we like to do this as an all-inclusive, all-stakeholder process, because then they're in it from the start and they get it and they're all on the same page with you. The brand, your brand voice statement applies to everything that you do, whether it's, as small as your pencils, or the way you answer the phone is incredibly important. And that, the kind of caring, compassion, those things you speak of should be conveyed from the minute they walk in the office, pick up the phone, go to your retail store. Those traits, attributes, personality traits should be evident and obvious. Obviously there's more that could be added to this list based on your own personal businesses, but this is just kind of to get you thinking about all of the touch points that you have with your consumers, with your competition, and as a community member. One of the things that Kristin talked about briefly, and this is a whole other discussion, but the impact of social media on your consumers, your end consumer, or your clients. A lot of people think, oh, social media it's free, so it's easy, but it takes time. You need to commit to your social media plan, just like you would commit to a paid advertising program or the decor of your shop or office. That the whole piece of social media, you can find out what's appropriate for your business, who are your end consumers, and what's relevant to them. Do they respond more to Facebook, or are they more likely to follow you on Twitter? It just depends on the type of service that you offer. Just to kind of give you an actual real-life example, we thought it would be helpful to do a little case study about one of our former clients, which is Moonstruck Chocolate. We didn't bring any today, unfortunately, but you know, one of the things, we went through that process with them right after the company was purchased, and we really had to drill down on the importance of consistency and getting everyone from the chocolatier to the CFO to the CEO to the people who run the factory floor to make sure that they all understand exactly what we're trying to convey. One of the keys to the Moonstruck brand voice statement was the kind of the cornerstone of it, and really what we drilled down on was whimsical and the idea of being whimsy. What we did whenever we worked with architects or anyone outside of the organization, we would bring them a 6-pack of chocolate and say, you know, we're building out the store. We want the store to be as cool as what's in this box. So it was a really great anchor to help outside vendors understand what we're trying to convey, because the product is so whimsical. And that's also how we directed all of the creative development that was involved in it. So this quick campaign was right out of the gates, first pass at some new products that they were launching at their retail stores. So there was different, we introduced the coffee drinks, and then we also introduced brand new packaging. So there was a lot going on, but you can see, even though they're two totally different products, they have that same sense of whimsy and fun, and you get a real sense of, you know, what the experience would be like if you had their chocolates.
So these pieces were mainly point of sale, door hangers, postcards, those kinds of things. You can use them in social media, and you can immediately see who our target audience was based on the illustrations that we used. But the brand comes across really strongly.
It was interesting, you know, we obviously knew that females were a big part of the demographic, but we wanted to capture something that was feminine but not too feminine or not too relatable. Like, they couldn't be too pretty because they had to relate to a broader audience. So we really worked with the art director to kind of hone that, what exactly does this person look like? But it could be everybody. And then here's just a few more. It's kind of hard to see with the light in here. But we did a lot of different collateral in box. Designing the box itself was a great challenge to really capture the essence of what's in the box and to get people really excited when they get the box. We had a great opportunity to be part of the Emmy Awards award show baskets that they give out to all the presenters. And I got to go to the Emmys, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I did the whole red carpet wave like I'm important and act like I'm somebody. But it was really great. It was fun to see people with the brand new box in one hand and an Emmy in the other hand. It was like, wow, this is awesome. And then we ended up literally running into Oprah and Gayle King at the dinner afterward and got them on the O list, and their sales took off. So it's a good story, and it's a great product. So, but you can see from this, you know, really consistent. You know, my job in our former agency together, I was the consistency police. I'm logo police, PMS color police. That's my job, is to make sure everything that goes forward is consistent and on brand voice.
Did you just say PMS?
PMS, yeah, it's a Pantone matching system. Yeah. It's not cranky colors, it's actually a legit thing. Yeah. So there you go. So I'll let Kristin wrap it up.
As you've gone through this process, you've probably come up with some questions, and I'd be happy to address any of them right now if you would like to share them.
How do we make our 30-minute consultation?
Oh, I'll get to that next. That's great. Yes?
I have a question. Branding is pretty difficult for those of us who are, and many of my clients are also virtual clients. I mean, we're virtual. We don't have an office downtown, a brick and mortar, but we have our websites, we have the things that we do in our marketing stuff, and all that's out there in social media. But branding becomes real difficult with that because people don't see. So what are the tools that we can use to kind of increase that?
Well, you mentioned a couple of them. And in today's world, website and social media are two of the most important pieces of branding you have. What you look like on your website, and you know this from designing websites for your clients, your website is often the first thing people see about you. And your social media, as you connect with your clients and customers, and potential clients and customers, the way you deliver that, that's a huge piece of branding. I don't have an office, but I have a brand, and I bet you can guess what my signature color is, and I bet you can you know, the on-call marketing director is my slogan. So I don't think you need to have, it's great to have point of sale as a retail operation, but I don't think you absolutely need it. You need to look at the communication tools you do have, and again, answering your phone.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you know, the intangibles of answering your phone, calling them right back if you don't answer, or getting back, you know, you can own reliable or responsive just by making the effort to get to them as soon as they call you or be available. And if you're not available, to just stay on it. You know, when I work with people, it's like, I always appreciate, oh, I know they're gonna get back to me in the next 10 minutes. You just know that they're watching and they're gonna be responsive. So that's something that you can own that doesn't necessarily cost you anything, but it puts you in their mind as, yeah, he's the reliable web guy.
Anyone else? Yes.
So I've been in business 10 years as an acupuncturist, and I'm going out and I'll have another product.
Mm-hmm.
And so the concept there is that I brand that product in relationship to what I already have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Is it as a separate business or is it under the same
it's
name?
under the same name, but it's a separate product. This is facial rejuvenation. It's faceless without surgery,
Right.
basically, is the concept.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm struggling with focusing on that without taking away from who I am and what I am.
Right, and that's really important too. When you're going through your branding process, you want to make sure that you're not going to be destroying or tampering with any existing equity you have in your business. You want to build upon it, you want to enhance it, just like your facial product is going to enhance someone's appearance. And you're going to share some commonalities between the two businesses. But this gives me an opportunity to plug another thing that I love to let you know, that one of the things you really need, what a business needs in order to be successful, is a written marketing plan. And you can see the statistics of the failure and success rates of companies and how much higher the success rate is if you have a written marketing plan, because it gives you a focus and it gives you tactics and strategies and a calendar. So that's just a side note.
And, you know, you wouldn't walk out the door and just start roaming somewhere. You need to know where you're going. So that's, the marketing plan is your roadmap. And, you know, we've written countless marketing plans over the years and have seen them used or not used to various degrees. There's nothing more irritating than writing a plan and then somebody goes, oh, I have a plan, you stick it in a binder and put it on your shelf. And don't revisit it for 5 more years until somebody else comes along and says, oh, let's write a new plan. So it's really a day-to-day roadmap, and, you know, having those tactics nailed down gives you a sense of control and a sense of direction. So you're doing things intentionally as opposed to random shotgun, this sounds like an interesting thing, I should try it, and then it fails, but because you don't have a true path forward.
Okay, and thank you. And I just wanted to say, as a limited time offer for this group, if you contact me, and you can contact me via the yellow card that I gave you, or give me a call, or drop me an email, in the next 24 hours, I'll give you a half-hour consultation where we'll talk about your marketing, and I'll give you an evaluation of how things are going. So you've been wonderful, and I appreciate your attendance, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both very much. That was more than I was hoping for. So
It was a lot to start.
It was a lot, and I even was trying to figure out what I was going to do, which was amazing. So for those of you who are interested, who had a great time and are interested in moving forward, I strongly recommend over the next month reviewing what they suggested. So definitely really look at your brand voice with your stakeholders, and especially that part about identifying who your audience is, because part 2 of our marketing series specifically is meet your marketing options. So we are going to try to bring a representative in from all of the local ways that you can spend your marketing dollars, and they're going to talk to you about who do they actually reach and who do they not reach. So that way you can be asking questions and identifying where perhaps you should be spending your dollars. So if you've done that homework ahead of time, this will be really useful to you. So we hope that this will be in the second half of May, but how did you guys like this day? How did you like this time? How did you like this topic? Are there other topics you'd like us to do? You will see in front of you an evaluation sheet. This is our first one. We really want your feedback. Were there fellow business owners you knew would have loved to have come to this, but couldn't because of this time of day or the day of the week? Please let us know, and then we'll identify exactly when we should have part 2. Some other quick announcements. You might have found this at your table. Today is also Hungry for Hillsdale. So once a month, we go out and market one of our lovely restaurants. Today it's Sasquatch. And if you happen to go spend money, they actually opened 1 minute ago at 3 o'clock. And that could also include to-go orders and gift certificates. If you go spend money today, a portion of the proceeds goes back to our nonprofit, which helps us do stuff such as this. So please go spend money at Sasquatch today. We do have lots of volunteer needs, both one-time, such as our upcoming Spring Fest event on May 5th. If you want to volunteer for a couple hours, you get our brand new t-shirt, which has our new brand on it, which is a really fabulous t-shirt. Or if you'd like to bring the family, Cinco de Mayo is going to be a hot time to be here in Hillsdale, let me tell you. We also have some ongoing planning needs. We have some great events. The Hillsdale Paella dinner, and for anybody who went to our wine event, Wine About Winter, we are now planning those, and we need planning committee members. So please see Emily afterwards if you are interested. Other than that, thank you all for coming. Are there any questions for me before we wrap up? Okay, well I apologize, we were 2 minutes over, but thank you all very much for coming, and another round of applause for our fabulous event.